Okay, time to start texturing, our favorite part. So you can see in my UVs that I tried to optimize our space as much as possible, but I still have a lot of negative space down here that could be optimized better. And in this case, I would probably not actually try to adjust the UVs anymore, but I would consider adding some more geometry to kind of spice things up and add some more texture shells down there. And there's a couple ways you can do that. One way would be kind of cool. I'm just going to create a really simple box. And I remembered in our reference that there's kind of like some flat pieces around our pillars in the middle. What I can do is just scale this down real quick. And I'm just at this point adding, the cherry on top, the extra detail that, isn't necessarily required. But since we have the time and we have the resources, we might as well add. So I take that, duplicate it down there, add some more interest. So I'm actually going to take this piece, I'm going to grab, actually, I think all the edges except the vertical edges. So I just deselected the vertical edges. I'm going to turn off my texture view right now. And I'm going to bevel those real quick. And my beveling does not seem to be working very well. I've been having quite a bit of trouble with my 2015. There you go. I'm just trying to think of a way that this could look kind of cool, not get too much in the way. There we go. That looks kind of cool, right? So I can take this piece and I'm going to create automatic mapping on this real quick because it's just a super simple box. Great, it made it huge. So what do the stock ones look like? That's actually not so bad. I just undid all that real quick and I'm going to unfold and see what we're left with. Oh, that's actually not so bad. I'm going to take these edges because they look kind of weird sticking out. I'm going to cut those, and because I know these edges share the same, I'm going to move and sew, and move and sew. I'm going to fold a little bit. And let's see, which one is... Which face is that? That is that side face. I'm actually, that's fine for now. So this is like a really quick and dirty addition to this object. I'm gonna grab all the UVs, grab my new little box. I'm gonna scale it down. I'm just gonna occupy some more of this space. There we go. I can actually just take this object right now, duplicate it. Move it down here. And we kind of got some more cool looking geometry going on. Another super really fast addition, which makes our object a little cooler and takes up some more of our texture space, which is awesome. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is start texturing. So remember how we do this before is that we select all of our objects in object mode. And we come under UV snapshot, we click that. And I'm going to browse and I'm going to find my directory, which is 3D comp, classwork, arch. I'm going to create a new texture folder. Texture. Wall UV snap. 2048 by 2048. You know what? In modern video game engines, this might actually be, because it's such a large asset, it might actually end up being a 2048 by 2048. So for now, I'm going to make this a 4096, which is a 4K resolution, which is really, really big. But you want to give yourself the assurance that you have a larger texture size, because if your art director comes up to you and says, hey, we're going to make this wall because it looks so cool. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry about the kids screaming. Just close the door for a second. So as I was saying, because your art manager might come up to you one day and say, this wall looks really, really cool. We're going to make this a centerpiece for the game. Can you up-res the textures a full scale? You'll say, yeah, because I have the 4096. That was what I was working in. No problem. So you just export your 4096, and now you can use that in the game engine if you wanted to. Alright, so we got our 4096. Targa, because I like Targas. We all like Targas. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to open up Photoshop. Alright. First I'm going to open up an Explorer window so I can access my directories. Actually, I'm going to go to Recent Places. Yay, Recent Places works. We can go under Classwork, Arch, Textures. I'm just going to drag and drop. Perfect. Now worked out, we have all of our lines, all of our pieces. Perfect. I'm going to double click this real quick so that I can edit this layer. Hit a new layer, drag it on the bottom, and I'm going to hit Control I on this selected with this layer to invert this image. So we have nice black lines. Oh man, we still have a lot of negative space, but that's okay. We'll leave it for now. If I was going to submit this to my art director, I would definitely go in and redo this before texturing. I'd probably move this over here and straighten these out, because this looks like wasted texture space and wasted money. Up here, ooh, we're looking pretty, and over here it looks great, but over here it just looks like crap. So, fair warning. So now that we have our whole object, oh, let's go ahead and save this as a new iteration. Save scene as wall 3. Continue. Oops, I forgot I opened that. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So, what is our object going to be made of? If we look at the reference, see we got some mossy big stones. We've got, actually it kind of all looks like stone. Not much wood, only wood is around here. But we have a cool looking repeating texture on the pillar. Really big pieces of stone right here. And kind of a nice red stone right here. So, and I think we're going to do some nice ornate stuff down here. CG Textures has a lot of cool ornate pieces in their gallery. CG Textures. .org. I always forget that. What is it? Seriously? Stures.com? Aha. Yes. Alright, so let's find some brick. What we probably want is medieval. It's got some nice textures to it. Bricks, Japanese wall blocks, messy, mixed, overgrown. Yeah, we'll choose overgrown. So this is going to be the front face of our wall. I'm looking at these textures. I want to try and find something that has pretty small bricks in it, because our texture size is so big and our piece is so big. We want the front face tiles to be like a relatively believable size. Kind of like this one down here. No, that's a little too much of a one color for me. This one right here looks really cool. It's kind of got a lot going on. It gets big to small, and it's got a color change kind of up there. Let's consider that. What else we got? Only one page. That's unfortunate, but I think we have all we need. Yeah, I like this one too. Unfortunately, you can see down here that the largest size that we're available to download is 3000 by 1921. So what that means is that this is actually not going to be tall enough for us, because we know that our wall texture is 4096 by 4096, and that just the one piece of wall is taking up the entire texture space. So we need to find something that's preferably 4K if we can find it. I don't know if any of these were that size. I think they were all a little bit smaller. You can always use trusty Google to find stuff. Quam. Yes, google.com. Let me Google search google.com. Excellent. So if we find mossy brick wall, and we look under our size, I want to say larger than 12 megapixels, 4K. We're going to see what kind of results we get. And a lot of the time, if you find stuff on Google, you're going to have a hard time actually creating your own textures. A lot of times it'll be pictures of walls, so you'll have to do a lot of manipulation in Photoshop to get it completely flat. And in this case, I'm not finding it right away, and we're doing it for a tutorial, so I'm just going to rescale one of these larger textures. And I'm going to pick the one with less moss on it. And that's because we can always add in moss ourselves later on. Alright. Finished? Of course it finished, but then it moved down to the bottom. Alright. Alright, so I went ahead and placed it. And I hate to do it, but I have to stretch it. And we can fix this a little bit by doing some sharpening later on. And since we're going to be scaling down our texture a full size, it might not end up being too bad. I'm going to hit enter. And it gets a little bit muddy. I'm going to go ahead and apply a smart sharpen. Yeah, just whatever this amount was. Definitely not that much. Sure, what's on more accurate? So while that's applying, let's find another texture. So we know the next thing we want is kind of like a stone, right? Yeah, let's find a plain stone so that we can draw in our own cracks. Something really cool about the Naughty Dog team, if you don't happen to know already, is that they don't use texture reference images in any of their textures. So meaning, they don't have a library of images which they use to texture their objects. Every single one of their objects and every single one of their games is hand painted. So that means they have really talented artists that go in and draw, you know, whatever texture they happen to need at the time, brick wall, whatever they need, hand paint it, export it, generate the normal maps and the spec maps and all that stuff. And they use that right in the game, and it's pretty unbelievable because a lot of their stuff looks very realistic, but you can always tell it looks Naughty Dog because of it's not quite perfect, but really cool nonetheless. So let's see. Instead of brick this time, consider using concrete. I'm gonna open that in a new tab, and I thought there was a rock one. We'll just go with the bear right now. Okay. Ooh, I like this one. I like the color of this one. Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, but we can only get a really small size. Oh, just in the tiling. Still get a nice big one of these. Once again, we're using our texture quota very, very, very quickly. Alright, so we got kind of like a red texture, which would be really nice for in here and maybe down here as well. Next thing we want to look for is maybe some ornate stuff for this pillar along here. And I think we're going to have to go back into our asset and add this geometry in, because right now we have pretty simple stuff. I think we want to jazz this up some. But for textures, I think we can take that same texture and make it more gray to make this, but we might consider grabbing one more of these. Let's grab some ornate stuff to start. And this is recently added as well. Ornaments. They have a lot of cool stuff. And you have to be careful when using stuff like this, because a lot of texture artists use this site, and they're going to know if you use some of this stuff because they spend a lot of time in this gallery using it as well. So if they spot something right away and say like, oh, I've seen that before and know exactly where that came from, it might like drop their illusion, their sense of awe, you know. So generally best to grab stuff that is relatively simple. I kind of like this one down here. That looks pretty cool. And I'm kind of digging this one up here as well. Yeah, I think we can make a nice texturing pattern out of this. So I'm going to grab the largest one I can. And I'm almost out of textures. 3 megabytes left. Alright. Let's add some of that detailing in. So you can see in here you got a kind of an overhang, and then kind of swooping down another overhang, and you can do that kind of stuff really quickly in Maya, of course. So if I just do an insert edge loop tool, I'm going to do 2. I'm going to grab these faces all around. Actually, first I'm just going to grab this face. I'm going to drag it in. I'm going to grab this face, drag it in. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. Insert edge loop tool. I'll do one right there, and one a little further down. I'll grab the face, bring it in. Grab the face, try and bring it in as much as I brought in the last one. It's pretty close. And there. Grab all my edges, all edge loops. Actually, you know what? I'm going to grab all the edges. I'm going to come up to my normals. I'm going to harden the edge. Cool. So, what that means is that we just messed up our UVs. And that's okay. We're doing this early on. We haven't even started texturing yet, really. So we can come up into our edit UVs, UV texture editor. I'm just going to select my shell. And I believe it still has all the faces. We didn't extrude anything. We just created some edge loops. So it doesn't have to actually be re-UV'd. It just has to be unfolded a little bit more. There we go. This one. Unfolded. Piece of cake, great. Let's grab our objects. Make sure we're not... I can bring it back to the left a little bit. Shell. Excellent. So when we're looking at this now, these long faces are these long faces right here. And we also have the bottom and the back. I'm considering whether I need the back or not. Because if you look up here, you look at the faces that consist of our back, that's taking up a lot of texture space. So I would consider deleting these. I'm having a hard time. I don't know. I kind of grown attached to those faces. I'm going to go ahead and delete them. Just for now. So now we have a free floating edge. Where is this edge family? Oh, back here. I just missed a face. Alright. And what I'm thinking of doing, I'm going to grab my top and I'm going to cut this edge. I know I said I was going to do texturing, but I guess we're doing UVs. Sorry guys. Alright, so now I have all my objects. And because I have all that really ornate textures on that I found, I think I want to size this up some. So and I do this kind of stuff all the time, guys. I'm always readjusting my UVs based on what I think it is required at the time. The top isn't going to be seen all that much, so it doesn't have to be as big. As long as it fits in the space, I'm happy. Cool. Save. Now, I have to make sure to export our UVs once more. I really needed to change my default directory. Classwork. Oops. Butterfingers. Classwork. Arch. Texture. Snap. 2. Alright. So now I can go back and I can delete that UV snap. And I can find the one I really want. Just drag it and drop it a bit. Invert it. Oh, first I have to enter. Invert it. Invert it, I say. Ah, yes. I have to make this an editable object. No, invert. Thank you. Alright, and I can just go and find my multiply, which I think was our nicest. Linear burn, multiply. It's a little hard to see. You can actually just take this and duplicate it. If your UVs aren't showing up very much, every time you duplicate it, it makes these bleed a little bit, makes it more dark. You can select your duplication and make sure to turn multiply back on. I don't know if that even helped a little bit, but it'll work for now. Alright, so we have our cool wall texture. What I want to do is mask the rest of it so that I don't have to see the rest. And I'm just going to marquee select, make sure that I have all of this selected right now. Oh, I have a smart filter on there. I'm going to hit my texture and I'm going to mask it. And actually reverse the mask that I want, so I can just Control I to inverse this mask. And now you can see that I just have this wall texture where I want it, except I'm going to get rid of it right here. So I'm going to go into my polygonal lasso tool. Go under here. Control D. I'm sorry, Alt D. We'll add your second background color, which is white in this case, and no, black in this case, and add to here. So now that we have that masked off, the only thing that we have is the brick which makes up this wall. Cool. So what do we want next? We have our concrete. I'm going to grab that and bring it into a new document just so we have it for multiple uses. That's the first one we had. Ornament, that's the cool one that we like. Yeah, we can definitely make this repeating checking through. So go ahead and do for this. Actually, I'm going to grab all that and I'm going to hit Control Copy, Control C. I'm going to come under here and paste it. And I'm going to rotate it. And for right now, I'm just going to be really lazy and scale it so that it fits our whole space. I'm going to hit Enter. And then I want to create a mask for this too, because I don't want it bleeding over. Inverse once more. It's very close. And you can see that this is why you want to leave some space in between your UVs, so you can save yourself some trouble later on when you're texturing. Okay. And definitely need to go. Oh, no, that's it. Oh, excuse me, I'm choking on my own spit. Oh, excellent. Alright. And the next thing we want is we want to add that cool concrete texture to our inset face and the faces around it. So I'm going to grab my bare concrete. I'm just going to select a patch, copy, paste. And what I can do is just make sure that kind of envelops all those UVs. Apply, yes, thank you. And I'm going to marquee select around these guys. Ooh, getting a little sloppy. And then create a mask for that. And see what's cool about a mask is that you can always go in and adjust what you need. You're not just deleting something. Cool, so we're getting some nice dirty textures up here. Next thing we want, well, we have our wall up here. So I think what I'm going to do is, yes, take more of a selection of our big piece of concrete here. I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste it in, and I have to do it again, I have to stretch it. And actually, so I don't have to stretch as much, I can actually rotate this and use corner to corner. There you go. And now our cracks are kind of going slant, which is kind of cool. I'm going to enter on that one. And I'm going to select just it, at least try my best. Make sure that I'm not getting any of this one. Oh yeah, I'm definitely overlapping here. Marquee select, Alt delete, add some white in my mask. And that's starting to look pretty good, but it's kind of matching this other texture over here. And what I really want to do is make this like more of a gray to match our reference. So the way I can do that is come under Hue and Saturation, hold down Control Alt G with my new saturation mask selected, and that'll apply it to just the layer below. And I can take the saturation and I can just crank it down, and now we have more of a gray. Even change this to more of a blue. Cool. So now we have like just a normal gray concrete looking like thing. So I'm going to save this as my wall PSD. Just save it. And I'm going to make sure to turn off my my UVs. And actually I'm going to create a new layer on the very bottom, which is just like a black, so I know where I haven't textured yet. I'm going to File, Save As. I'm going to save it as Targa wall underscore diff, and I only need a 24-bit. I'm going to save that. Oops. Bring back out project, and I'm going to open the hypergraph, which is our materials editor. Get rid of the UVs, I don't need to see that. I'm going to hit new blend, double click my blend, under the attributes, grab a color. If you're interested in becoming a tech artist, when you're creating assets in Maya, consider what's taking you the most amount of time. Since we're in Maya 2015, I don't have any shortcuts set up, like custom mel scripts, but a lot of the times what people do is create their own mel scripts, basically shortcuts for doing all this. Basically what you can do is just hit a texture once, or create a new material and drag and drop your textures right away. You don't have to do all this clicking. So basically what you do as a tech artist is measure the amount of clicks that you do for one performance of anything that you're doing, and then try and devise a way to minimize your time spent. So under class work, arch texture, we got our diff, and now we just have to apply that to all of our objects. So I'm just going to go to object select, assign materials to selection, and bam. We're starting to see a lot of progress already. Even this looks okay for now. Actually, it looks like the bottom is being enveloped by this. So what I can do is stretch this up. There we go. And what I'm going to do, hit apply, and I'm going to grab like a color from here. I'm going to reverse my background. Black's not working right now. And on this piece of texture right here, I can come in and add just like a bottom gray. Also have to change my mask. And this is just going to be that bottom piece of geometry, which you probably wouldn't see too often. If I wanted to, what I could really do is copy some of this, copy, paste it. I have to make sure I have the level selected, the layer selected. Control Shift copy will actually select what you see. Make sure I'm not underneath anything. And I can add this under here so that we have kind of an actual texture instead of just a color. We want to make sure our work is really nice and pretty. Alright. So what next? We probably want to do something unique for the inside of our window, right? But for the rest of this, we can probably pick one color. And because this is different, I think what I want to do is make this windowsill kind of like a wood. Let's see. Any wood from last week? Plywood? I still got some plywood. I'm gonna drag and drop that. It's the plywood that we used last week. Scaling up that. I'm just gonna do something good. That's pretty good. I'm gonna grab my clone tool and I'm gonna get rid. Yes, I want to make this an edible object. I'm just gonna get rid of this white line right here by using the clone tool for real quick and dirty. And that serves my purpose. So I want to add a layer mask to this. First I want to select everything that's going to be wood. And now I'm going to create my mask. Make sure I get everything. Alright, so this wood is kind of too clean for the rest of the stuff. So you can see that this texture is kind of dirty and grimy, and you can tell that this material is very old because it's got moss growing on it and stuff. So wood wouldn't necessarily be this clean. So one thing you can do to make it look older is just changing the color simply. Hue and saturation, if I hit Control G once more, I can change the saturation and the lightness. I have to make sure that the layer mask with the actual hue saturation is working correctly. Change the hue slightly, bring down my darkness. I'm trying to make this look more rotted than anything. More of a darker wood, and you can also come under the burn tool, which is actually a really nice tool to have, and you can start adding some grime. And I'm doing this kind of near the edges once more. And this is really adding a lot of, it's kind of breaking up this wood texture. And actually we have to make sure that we add some, because this is the side of this pillar up here, we have to make sure that we grab our concrete texture, just Control Shift copy, Control V, make sure our pasted object isn't within the color mask that we made earlier, and because I'm not too worried about it, I'm just gonna leave it right there. So let's see what we look like now. Do a file, save as. I'm going to do a Targa once more, diff. I'm going to save that out. And all I have to do is come under the blend and reload my texture. There you go. It's starting to look alright. Got some unique things going. This looks kind of cool. Definitely add a bump map to this, and I'll add a lot of detail. Alright, so there's actually only a couple more things that we want to do. We just need to texture this pillar, and I think we need to do the face, this top face right here. And once again, It's right here. So what I think I'm going to do is just find my, this one. I'm just going to duplicate this concrete and I'm going to move it. Cool. And I want to find one more ornate piece, and I think I'm going to try and find an ornate piece of wood so that our pillar in the window frame is kind of cool looking. So let's see. A lot of this stuff is way too ornate for us. Ah, perfect piece. I like it. I love it. Let's grab as large of a piece as we can. If we refresh this now, only 1 megabyte left. I think the nice thing about CG textures is if whatever the next thing you download, even if it's like 3 megabytes, if you have at least 1 megabyte left, they'll let you download it. So try and make the last one you make a whopper. Okay. Starship Lows. And because this is also wood, it's different from this texture in here, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to copy a good portion of my wood, Control Shift copy, Control V. I can move that out of the way so you can see it. I'm actually going to drag these nearer to the top, and my ornate, drag that up to the top as well. So what you can see is I can grab this ornate texture that we grabbed, and if I come under the mixing tool, I can come under here and I can grab, what is this, soft light? Soft light looks pretty good. So basically what I want to do is grab the lighting information from this ornate texture and then apply it to the wood. Overlay looks pretty good, but I have to adjust the colors on the ornamental piece. Bring the saturation way down. Lightness. And that's looking pretty good. I'm actually going to create a new folder, a new group. Ornate. I'm going to drag and drop all these into there. So I can just grab this folder and move it independently. Turn our UVs on real quick. Cool. So that lines up just about perfect. I think I can do I can do a layer mask on an entire group. Select over this UV shell. Alt delete. Oh, this time it's reversed. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna select both these, and I selected my UVs real quick. I'm just gonna do a Control Shift, Control Shift I. What that does is an inverse select. So if I selected a box, now what I have is everything selected but the box. And with these two layers selected, I'm just gonna hit delete. Photoshop giving me a hard time. Delete. And finally, delete. Alright, now we just have what we want. Alright, finally. I'm gonna take my background, and I'm gonna grab kind of like a medium gray, fill that all in, and there we go. We got pretty much a completed diff map. I'm gonna go ahead and save it out one more time. That's Targa, all diff, save, yes, 24-bit, yes, thank you. And come up into Maya one more time. And we'll open our blend and reload. There we go. We got our cool ornate pillar. We figured out the top of this. It's looking much better. Actually, what I think I want to do is grab this edge loop and I'm going to soften up these normals. Yeah, that looks slightly better. Cool. I think it's looking alright. Oh, of course. One last thing. We wanted to add a window. Silly me. Let's see if we still have the... Let's see. If we go back into CG textures and we look for doors. Oh, the door might work. Moorish door. Let's see what we got. Yeah, this is kind of working for me right now. This is pretty much identical to our shape. Oh, it's a little too detailed. I think that would draw too much attention to the door itself. Door within a door? No, we don't need that. Let's see what else we got. Oh man, these are all very ornate doors. It's probably because I selected the ornate doors selection. Yeah, you know what? No, that's still too much. Go away, all you guys. Let's go back to just doors. It's just under wooden doors. Man, not much selection in the wooden door section. Could have sworn there was, maybe in buildings, we can find. No windows. You know what? We're just gonna go with an ornate door. Maybe under medieval. Ah, yes. This is looking more like what I want. Alright, you can see that this was 2.9 megabytes, but I only had 1 megabyte left. Now we're gonna refresh. Of course, I'm out. But it'll let me download the whole thing. Nice guy CG textures. Drag and drop this. I want to make sure that it's actually. Hit enter first. I'm going to make sure that it's top layer so I can actually see its effects. Cool, cool. Actually, not the top layer. I want the UV snap to be the top. Alright. Actually, scale this in quite a bit. What I want to do is it. This edge in the wood lines up as closely as possible to this. And actually, I kind of like this side more. Like, I like this keyhole more than I like this handle. So if I just come up to the show transforms, and I come under here and I start moving it, you'll see that I have this up here is changing. I can see that the height is already 74.87, so I just want to do a negative 74.87, and there I get the inverse, kind of like in Maya, at the place. And I'm just using the arrow keys now to kind of jam some over to the left. We have to make sure it's tall enough. Still using these arrow keys. It's actually not tall enough. Scale it a little bit. Huh, that's close enough for now. Now I just want to make sure that this is all masked off. Very slowly. Very slowly. I'll create a new mask. It's so nice to auto mask for me. And I kind of don't like this hole right here. Can't tell you why, but I don't like it. Yes. So I'm gonna get rid of it with the clone stamp. Alright. Actually, this indent down here I don't like as well. Cool. So that's looking really good. And I bet if we go ahead and see what this looks like on our object, save as to our targa, diff, save, place, yes. There are also Photoshop tools which you can develop in Python, I believe, that will do all that saving and stuff with just one button press. Tech artist, looking at you, reload, and there we go. We got our cool window texture. Now what we can do is actually duplicate our object. All I have to do is select the whole object, and I'm going to go ahead and make this one piece now. I'm going to come up to mesh, and I'm going to hit combine, and it places the selector right on the origin already. So all I have to do is do an edit. Actually, let's delete our history, edit, duplicate special, and apply. And of course it's doing that weird thing again. Very strange. This is new to my 2015. Apparently it has to reverse your normals. Okay. That was the problem. So all I have to do is do a modify, we'll duplicate special again, and if this is happening to you as well, all you have to do is select the faces, which are now rendering the opposite sides. You can see that the faces over here are showing the texture, so that means our normals are reversed. It's rendering the wrong sides of our faces. Just come up to normal and hit the reverse button. Oh, that's right. Alright, we're gonna delete that again, come up to edit, duplicate special, make sure that we're not doing an instance, apply, and reverse. So what was happening is we were reversing textures on both sides, or the object on both sides, which was just basically reversing one and the other at the same time. So that's not what we want. Now here we go. We have a wall. We have really cool pillar looking face at the bottom. If we were to grab both of these and duplicate both and bring them up here, you can see that we'd have the facade of a building starting to be generated. It's just that easy. So I'm going to stop the video here. We're going to take a quick break, and then last thing we're going to do is go into our Crazy Bump program and finish up the last bit of texturing.